Good evening, everybody. Okay, did everybody get their suckers? I saw a lot of people kind of running back out there. They're good? Yep, you're good. Okay. Welcome to worship on this evening that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I'm going to invite Michael and Sammy to come up and grab the trays. We'll collect our offering real quick here at the beginning as we are running through our announcements. As per usual, you should have 2 items along with you for this evening. Most of you, I think, have been here before, so you should know. You need to have your Holden Evening Prayer, and you need to have your bulletin. Now, check your bulletin. Make sure you got the right date. Everybody got March 30th? It is March 30th, right? Yeah? Yeah. No, end of March. If you got the wrong date, let us know. We'll get you the right one. But every once in a while, those will sneak through incorrectly. On the way out after worship tonight, don't forget to leave your copy of Holden in the box so that we will have that again for next week. We are flying through the season. We are into our 4th Wednesday. Only one more Wednesday, a week from tonight, and then we will be wrapping up our midweeks. Lenten activities for that as we move then into into Holy Week, which is coming up very, very soon. Looking forward to that. Just a quick reminder, as we are going through Holden, when we hit the bottom of page 4 and it splits into 2, we all sing group 1, right? My brain just utterly etch-a-sketched. Okay, we'll all sing group 1 together. If you sing group 2, you'll be by yourself, and I hope that you can sing well because you'll be doing it so well. We will be continuing our Lenten theme tonight. If you've been here, we've talked about this. Our theme this year is restoration and resurrection. And our liturgy, our scripture readings, and our conversation that Vicki and I will be having will be along those themes as we collectively continue to be restored into that sense of normalcy after the last couple of years. Looking forward to that, and actually tonight we almost have a mix of the two. And Vicki's smirking at me right now. I think she's got good things to talk about tonight, so we shall see. With that, we will go ahead and kick off our music with Holden, beginning on the first page. Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world, the light no darkness can overcome. Stay with us now, for it is evening, and the day is almost over. Let your light scatter the darkness, and shine within your people here. Joyous light of heavenly glory, loving glow of God's own face, you who sing creation's story, shine on every land and race. Now as evening falls around us, we shall raise our songs to you. God of daybreak, God of shadows, come and light our hearts anew. In the stars that grace the darkness, in the blazing sun of dawn, in the light of peace and wisdom, we can hear your quiet song. Love that fills the night with wonder, love that warms the weary soul, love that bursts all chains asunder, set us free and make us whole. You who made the heaven's splendor, every dancing star of night, make us shine with gentle justice us unto endless day. May God be with you all, and also with you. Let us sing our thanks to God. It is right to give God thanks and praise. Blessed are you, Creator of the universe. From old you have led your people by night and day. May the light of your Christ make our darkness bright. For your word and your presence are the light of our pathways, and you are the light and life of all creation. Amen. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. O God, I call to you. Come to me now. Oh, hear my voice when I cry to you. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. Keep watch within me, God. Deep in my heart may the light of your love be burning bright. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. All praise to the God of all, Creator of life. All praise be to Christ and the Spirit of love. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. I invite you to now join in reading responsibly from Psalm 85 as printed in the bulletin. Lord, you were favorable to your land. You restored the fortunes of Jacob. Restore us again, O God of our salvation, and put away your indignation towards us.
Will you not revive us again, so that your people may rejoice with you?
Show us your steadfast love, O Lord, and grant us your salvation.
Let me hear what God will speak, for the Lord will speak peace to his people.
There is peace for God's faithful, to those who turn their hearts to the Lord.
Surely God's salvation is at hand for those who fear, that God's glory will dwell in our land.
Steadfast love and faithfulness will meet. Righteousness and peace will come near.
Faithfulness will spring up from the ground, and righteousness will down from the sky.
The Lord will give what is good, and our land will yield its increase.
Righteousness will go before the Lord, and will make a path for the steps of God.
An angel went from God to a town called Nazareth to a woman whose name was Mary. You shall bear a child, and his name shall be Jesus, the chosen one of God Most High. And Mary said, I am the servant of my God. I live to do your will. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Great and mighty are you, O Holy One. Strong is your kindness evermore. How you favor the weak and lowly one, humbling the proud of heart. You have cast the mighty down from their thrones, and uplifted the humble of heart. You have filled the hungry with wondrous things, and left the wealthy no part. Great and mighty are you, O faithful one. Strong is your justice, strong your love. As you promised to Sarah and Abraham, kindness forevermore. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Our scripture story for this evening comes from Mark chapter 5, and it is two healings, or more so two miracles, all mixed in together. One of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw Jesus, fell at his feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be made well and live." So he went with him. And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came out behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." When he had entered the house, he said to them, "Why do you make a commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping," and they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha kum," which means, "Little girl, get up." Immediately the girl got up and began to walk about, and she was 12 years of age. Well, here we go again.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Here we are.
Here we are. How many times do you think we can say that before they start snickering?
I don't know.
Oh, I heard
They're
one.
not
Okay.
listening. They're not listening.
They're not listening. Have we overstayed our welcome?
We don't have long.
Okay.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass? Okay.
Yeah.
They're starting to giggle. See, we just want you guys to have a good time. That's what this is all about. Okay, so we've got this story, and as we talk about the idea of restoration and resurrection, we're covering both bases tonight. So, first off, let's think about the setting of what's going on. Jesus comes into the town, and of course, word about him is spread. He's been healing all kinds of people. And the leader of the synagogue, this guy named Jairus, he's got a daughter at home who's sick. And any of you parents out there who have had a sick child know it's the worst feeling in the world. I was talking to somebody earlier about having a sick kid. I don't remember who it was, but I know I was. And it's just the worst feeling in the world. And so Jairus thinks, well, Jesus is here, and Jesus has been healing people. So I'm going to get him to come to my house and heal my daughter, because if not, she might die. And so he gets to Jesus, and he's like, hey, come on. And Jesus is like, that sounds good. Let's go do that. And I can only imagine. He's like, yeah, that's cool. Let's go heal your daughter. I like it. Let's do it. And so they're on their way. And the whole crowd's pressing in, and then there's an interruption.
And Vicki draws the short straw to get to tell this part of the story. So the woman with the issue of bleeding for 12 years is there. She has been through unimaginable things, pain, suffering. She's lost her money. She can't, no doctor's been able ever to help her with her condition. And we just assume it's a condition that only women would have. But I think a man could understand what kind of stress and misery and that anyone would go through with this condition of that sort. Plus the fact that being unclean with her blood issue, she was totally an outcast. She had no support from anyone in her community. She had no community, really. She had nobody to help her, nothing. She probably lived in some little hut or rock somewhere, I don't know.
She lived under a rock.
Under a rock, maybe. But, you know, she would have come and been part of this crowd in great fear of, I don't know, if nobody was going to be touching her. They weren't going to grab her and arrest her, for sure. But just of what might happen just for being in public, for being there at all. I'm sure she was trying to be obscure amidst all the people, and yet she just knew that if she could just even touch the hem of Jesus's garment, she would be healed. So the power of her faith here is really incredible. We know that it only takes a mustard seed's worth, yes. But the power of the faith that she had to know this, that she would be healed. And so she was at the same time trying not to be seen, probably, we think, was able to get close enough to Jesus to touch his coat. And he immediately said, "Who touched me?" Now, there's this hordes of people gather around him. Yeah, I mean, they were like this, right? And he says, "Who touched me?" And the disciples are going, "Well, could be anybody. You know, look around you." And I'm sure they were so many times kind of puzzled by what Jesus might come up with anyway. So they're going, you know, could be anybody. But he immediately felt the power going from him to this woman. She immediately felt healed. And what else was there? She said something.
Well, we skipped a little bit, and there's a little gap in there. And so, like you said, the crowds are pressing in, and she's kind of, on one hand, she's gotten away with it. because Jesus doesn't know. This is one of the only times that Jesus performs a passive miracle, in that he doesn't take the action to do it. That it's just kind of a
Totally her initiative and
right.
yeah.
And so then the question comes up of who touched me, and she could have just left and gone on her way,
Right.
but she knows what has happened and the power of what this has given her, and brought her back into wholeness in that after so much time. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I dropped mine.
Over here. Now from there, we jump back into the other part of the story, because we've had this happen, and Jesus blesses her and says, "Your faith has made you well," and like basically be restored. And now we've got Jairus still sitting over here. And can you imagine what's going through his head right now? That Jesus is on the way to heal my daughter, and now he's distracted. Come on, Jesus. And he's probably maybe tugging at Jesus' his sleeve to keep him moving. And then the worst thing happens for him. His servants come up and say, "You might as well just leave him alone. Your daughter has died." And I can only imagine that devastation. But Jesus tells him, "Don't worry." And I'm sure that went over really well. "Don't worry." Well, my daughter just died. Of course he's still going to be worried. But then they go to his house, and there's this back and forth, and Jesus is looking through eyes that are different than ours, and he says, "She's not dead, she's only sleeping." And they laugh at him because that's laughable, that could never happen. And yet he brings her back to life. He raises her back to life and brings this story of resurrection, that what once was dead is now alive again. Now, so that's the story in total. That's kind of what is going on with this. So the questions that we've been wrestling with so far has been, who is the miracle for? And we could probably answer that in two ways tonight. So what do you think?
Well, one interesting thing that we talked about was the fact that we don't hear anything from, except for this woman this time, from the person who was healed or resurrected or restored in whatever way they were. And so it makes us, I think that puts it back to us, where this story is for us to know that these things are possible, and that through faith, the power of God can heal and restore us. And
Sometimes, regardless of how we might feel about the situation. Like imagine Jairus.
yeah, it's like it doesn't matter how they feel about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Which we can imagine. We can put ourselves into the position, or we can just speculate, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I've got a daughter, and if she was sick and I thought someone could heal her, and then he got distracted because somebody else needed a healing, jeepers, what was she thinking? And then my daughter died, I'd be devastated, and I would be angry, and I would probably be overcome with it. And yet in the midst of what I would imagine to be disbelief or anger or harsh emotion of some sort, that doesn't stop the miracle from happening. That doesn't stop the restoration from happening, or the resurrection. And it's kind of both in Jairus' case too, that now his daughter is returned to him. She's returned back to life. She's returned back to her community, kind of all of the above. And so on one hand, we've got the woman, and it's her faith that brings in the passive miracle from Jesus. And then we've got Jairus, who's probably, despite his emotion, the miracle happens anyway. And maybe that's a good reminder for us that God's going to take action one way or the other, whether we expect it or not. And sometimes we're involved, and sometimes we aren't. Sometimes it's almost despite us.
Or whether we deserve it or not.
Well, do we ever deserve it?
Yeah. And then I think that the next thing we think about is, what are we being restored to? And we started out this idea of this theme in the along the lines of the fact that we've been gone through a couple years of isolation from each other, of going through trials or whatever you want to call it, illnesses that we never thought we would have to deal with, and had to come up with new ways to deal with them. But then, what happens next? What after the restoration, after the resurrection? Are we going to go back to the same way we've always done things? Are we going to feel the same way about each other? Or are we going to appreciate the simple things more? Are we going to appreciate each other more? Are we going to be more compassionate? Or how can we use these experiences that we ourselves have had to make a better life? Which is what restoring the people, Jairus' daughter or the woman, we would like to think maybe that they would go on to have, we know they would have a better life, but what changes might have come about that community, for instance, of Jairus' friends and so forth, what changes might they experience from witnessing this resurrection, or the people around the woman witnessing that healing? How could they change their lives to make them better? Or what might they do?
Yeah, I wonder about that too, because if we think about it, she's been the woman this 12 years.
It's a long time.
We thought 2 years was a long time, and it was, but 12 years, that's like the amount of time it takes for a kid to go to kindergarten through senior year.
The age of Jairus' daughter.
Yeah, same age. And so for her to be restored in the community, it's going to be night and day different. Could she even remember what things had been like? Well, maybe she could, but it's definitely going to be a change. And the change in relations between that woman and Jairus, and who knows what dynamic that could be. So Jesus brings about these miracles, which are amazing, and they are, and yet it raises those questions of what is the community like after? And we don't have answers to that, which is maybe intentional, because we're all just figuring it out now, too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
We'll keep figuring it out.
Yeah. Okay. We good? Oh, I see nods. I think they're done with this.
They're ready to go.
Okay. Sounds good. We will finish this evening with our final blessing on the back page of Holden. Let us bless our God. Praise and thanks to you. May God Creator bless us and keep us. May Christ be ever light for our lives. May the Spirit of love be our guide and path for all of our days. Amen. Go in peace, serve the Lord.